Volusia County's Beach Safety and Ocean Rescue Division hires 52 new lifeguards for the summer season. And you can never be too prepared when hurricane season is just around the corner. Those stories and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine this Memorial Day weekend. I'm Amber Patterson. Stay tuned. Hurricane season kicks off June 1st, and county and city agencies are preparing. Last week, more than 60 agencies took part in an annual statewide hurricane exercise at Volusia County's new Emergency Operations Center, or as we know it, the EOC. The Volusia County EOC hosted more than 160 people during this annual statewide event, including cities and relief organizations representing respective emergency support functions called ESFs. The new state-of-the-art EOC is the cornerstone to Volusia County's ability to overcome disasters such as hurricanes. The annual exercise serves as an important opportunity to strengthen plans and relationships among local, state, federal, and private sector partners. One of those sectors is the Business Operations Center, which is the ESF 18. Richard Moore is a planner with the county's Emergency Management Division and coordinates ESF 18.
Well, the Business Operations Center is the equivalency of an Emergency Operations Center, which we have in government, but the Business Operations Center is a coordination point for businesses. It's a place in which they can communicate with the county EOC, or they can also communicate business to business on their needs. The reason this is so important is because we've learned historically that following a disaster, you want to get the community back on its feet as quickly as possible. And that means getting businesses on their feet so they can continue to pay the employees, they can continue to pay their mortgages, put food on the table, make the car payments, and get life back to normal.
Over the course of the week, the exercise was also conducted in other emergency operations centers across the state of Florida. The 2013 exercise scenario centered on the potential landfall of two fictitious storms, Hurricane Kirk and Hurricane Lay. The storms were simulated in rapid succession and serve as a reminder of the repetitive landfalls Florida had in 2004. Later on in the program, our Community Information Director Dave Byron will sit down with Ryan Williams of the county's EOC to discuss hurricane preparedness and what citizens should do to be prepared. 52 new summer lifeguards have joined the ranks of Volusia County Beach Safety and Ocean Rescue, and they will help to safeguard swimmers from Memorial Day through the Labor Day weekend. The recruits, who range in age from 17 to 56, had to prove their mettle by swimming 500 meters in under 10 minutes, swimming 50 yards in under 30 seconds, and running a half mile in under 3 minutes 15 seconds. Those who made the cut underwent a rigorous 92-hour training program that included a 40-hour first responder CPR course.
We're pretty excited to have the group of people that we have. They're very enthusiastic about getting out onto the beach and start working.
Daniel Carazana is one of the county's new lifeguards, and he's looking forward to an active summer schedule.
One thing that I could get across about the job is that they really stress being proactive and preventative. That's the biggest thing in lifeguarding. So if you can whistle at somebody and get them in to a little more shallow water, or you could spot potential victims, maybe somebody who's not that strong at swimming, that changes everything. It gets you 2 steps ahead of anything that might happen. So this organization definitely stresses being proactive and preventative.
The county's lifeguards make several thousand ocean rescues each year. In addition to water rescues, their duties also include boat rescue, missing persons, emergencies, and assisting beach visitors after encounters with sharks, jellyfish, and other sea life.
This is a great summer job, especially for the younger individuals that are still in school. They're in school during the school year. Once school is finished, they can come out and they can work what's called seasonal positions. They'll work 40 hours a week throughout the summer between Memorial Day and Labor Day, which is our busy season.
For more information about Volusia County Beach Safety Ocean Rescue, visit volusia.org/beach. Is your home ready for the next big windstorm? If you meet income eligibility requirements and need upgrades to improve your home's wind resistance, you may qualify for Volusia County's Wind Hazard Mitigation Program. The state-funded program can assist with hurricane shutters for windows and doors, gable and tie-downs, and upgraded garage doors. The maximum award per household is $10,000.
The program provides funding up to $10,000. This funding is secured through a 5-year mortgage, which will be forgiven if the homeowner continues to reside in the home for 5 years and complies with program terms. As part of the cost of providing the loan, there are closing costs of $300 to $500, which are the responsibility of the homeowner.
Applicants will work with the county's community assistance staff to apply and to determine eligibility for the Wind Hazard Mitigation Program. The Community Assistance Division also has funds to assist first-time homebuyers.
The Homebuyer Assistance Program is available also to assist people become homebuyers. This program is for first-time homebuyers, which is anyone who has not owned a home in the past 3 years. The program can assist a homebuyer with a second mortgage that is deferred for 15 years. That means you won't have to make regular monthly payments on it as long as you live in the house and comply with program conditions for the 15-year period.
For more information about the wind mitigation and homebuyer assistance programs, you can visit volusia.org/housing or call Volusia County's Community Assistance Division at 386-736-5955.
I'm Joshua Wagner with the Volusia County Council. If you're going to one of our beautiful beaches, have a great day and come back often. If you drive on the beach, please observe the 10-mile-per-hour speed limit and be very careful of pedestrians, especially children. If you're visiting with children, watch them constantly and take small children by the hand when crossing traffic lanes. You might want to use one of our traffic-free zones. For more beach information, please visit volusia.org.
Let's join Michelle Coates on the Business Beat. Michelle was at the recent expansion celebration of Frontier Communications.
I'm Michelle Coates with the Business Beat. Today we're at Frontier Communications in its newly expanded facility. Frontier Communications, one of the largest private sector employers in West Volusia, recently completed a $2 million expansion. The Fortune 500 communications company added more than 17,000 square feet of space and nearly 200 new jobs. Maggie Wilderotter, chairman and CEO of Stanford, Connecticut-based Frontier, addressed those who attended the recent ribbon cutting.
We have always had great support from the state, county, and local government here in Florida, and the Volusia County Council was terrific to work with. And we've worked together very well for 7 years now, and we look forward to doing so for years to come.
Frontier Communications, a provider of cell phone service and other communication services, mostly to rural communities throughout the country, has added nearly 200 workers in the past year. The 58,000 square foot complex will house multiple customer call centers as well as technical support facilities. The company's selection of DeLand as one of the consolidation sites for its call center operations nationally prompted the need to increase the size of its complex, and the future is bright for the company's local venue.
Our DeLand team members handled close to 2 million calls last year. Calls about products, about services, about billing, and more from all over the country. Our people are great at what they do. You are terrific at setting the pace for all of our contact centers nationwide.
Frontier had 350 workers in DeLand when it first opened its facility in 2006. The company has pledged to employ at least 550 workers at its DeLand complex. Employees who work there come from throughout the Volusia-Flagler area as well as Lake and Seminole counties. We spoke to Kelly Morgan, Frontier Communications Vice President and General Manager of the DeLand Center.
We're primarily a contact center, so we do things like inbound sales, we do marketing, We have technical support, we do offline provisioning, we do billing, we have analytics, we have revenue assurance. We have a number of frontline customer-facing jobs, but we also have professional jobs that we've been bringing down over the last couple of years.
The worker amenities included in the expansion are a testament to the company's investment in its workforce. Amenities range from a custom graffitied outdoor basketball court to a meditation room, a lactation room for nursing mothers, a fitness gym, and an employee lounge that includes a video game center and pool table.
What's unique about Frontier is we're very employee-centric, so we try to put the employee first, and we have a fundamental belief if we take care of our employees, they'll take care of the customer. So we, as part of that, we bring in a diverse group of individuals.
The company is looking to hire another 25 workers to fill tech support and call center positions. Frontier Communications, based in Stamford, Connecticut, offers broadband, voice, carrier, and internet services, among others, and generates annual revenues of more than $5 billion. Nationally, the company employs 14,700 people and operates in 27 states.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm Michelle Coates with the Business Beat here at Frontier Communications.
It's time now to check in with Health Matters correspondent Stephanie Strong for this report from the Volusia County Health Department.
On Sunday mornings, you'll find congregations across the country joining together for worship. The Volusia County Health Department's Tobacco Prevention Program is reaching out to the faith-based community to raise awareness to the dangers of tobacco. The program hopes to lift the spirits of those who may need a little help to kick the habit of tobacco. It's a deadly habit. Tobacco-related illnesses are responsible for 88 deaths a day in the state of Florida.
The dangers of using tobacco are the basic health effects that people generally hear about. Tobacco products can affect everything in the person's body. Everywhere that blood flows in a person's body, you can find residue of tar, which is left over from the tobacco product. So anywhere that blood travels in the body is pretty much going to be affected by a person's tobacco usage.
While some churches have health ministries, the health department's faith-based program targets underserved populations and incorporates the development of a health ministry for churches without them.
The purpose of the faith-based program is a new initiative from the Department of Health where the local tobacco prevention program is working with faith-based organizations, churches, synagogues, institutions of faith to get to their congregation the message about tobacco prevention and how important it is.
Tobacco prevention is an important program for Volusia County, ensuring that the community remains healthy.
The objectives of the program are to, one, work with youth in the church, and that can be youth ranging from middle, high school, sometimes we do elementary school, all the way up to college-age students, and educating them on the dangers of tobacco use, ways of prevention. We also work with older adults for their cessation progress. We refer them to the Florida Quit Line and get them in line with a quit coach that's going to work with them through the process of quitting. And also for those institutions that don't currently have a health ministry, we work with the pastor to identify people that may be interested in starting a health ministry for that congregation.
For more information about tobacco prevention, please visit www.volusiahealth.com. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Stephanie Strong, Public Information Officer for the Volusia County Health Department.
If you have any questions about this or any other health-related issues, you can always log on to volusiahealth.com. And now let's join Community Information Director Dave Byron and his guest, Ryan Williams of the Emergency Operations Center, for this discussion about hurricane preparedness.
Well, thanks, Amber, and hi, everyone. Florida's hurricane season begins June 1st and ends November 30th. Early preparedness is the key to survival should a major storm come our way. Volusia County Emergency Management is kicking up its storm readiness, and so should you. With preparedness in mind, we have with us in the studio today Ryan Williams. He's the Operations Coordinator for Volusia County Emergency Management. Ryan, thanks for being with us.
Hey Dave, thanks for having me.
What do you hear about the forecast for this year, for whatever the forecast just means?
Yeah, the forecast this year, generally speaking, and there's a lot of forecasters out there that put numbers out, is for an above average season.
And so you're saying basically this year we could expect above average activity?
Yeah, as far as the forecasts go, they look at several different kind of large scale weather features like El Nino, or also known as ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation. But what's going on this year is the El Nino is in a neutral phase. And that means we don't get the strong west to east winds across the Atlantic basin, so we won't get the good shearing that limits the hurricanes. And then you have a couple other big factors out there, like the Atlantic basin is running a little bit warm, and there's also some other buzzwords out there like the thermohaline circulation, which is just the global conveyor belt of the oceans that transport the warm water poleward. And so there's some indications amongst all of those kind of large forcing factors that we really could end up with an active season.
But one thing we do know, Ryan, and that is the forecasting information that comes out of the National Hurricane Center and National Weather Service and so forth, that has gotten far more sophisticated over the years. They do a pretty darn good job, and it's very important for emergency managers like yourself, because your protective actions are sort of triggered and sequenced all that information that comes out of the Hurricane Center, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're relying on the scientific knowledge coming out of these experts for us to make protective action decisions. That would include our evacuations and all this sort of thing. And you know, we're really integrated with that group during hurricane season and even in the off season, because they do make some changes to their protocols, and as the progress of science is getting more and more rapid with computers and everything being more powerful, they do adjust their forecasts. They shrink the cone sometimes. They start to lengthen the areas that they think they can forecast through. In other words, you know, the 48 to 72 hour periods and this sort of thing. So yeah, we're tightly linked up with them, and we use that information to derive whatever protective action we think we need to look at doing. And you know, keep in mind, Dave, as you mentioned earlier, as we're getting closer and closer to that landfall, we're actually in contact, the county is, through the Emergency Management Office, with these folks across the state and all the other counties that may be threatened, and also the Hurricane Center, and we're in close contact listening to what they're telling us about what they expect from that storm.
You know, Ryan, one of the things that we stress over and over again, it's the reason why we're doing this interview today, and that is businesses and residents need to have a personal preparedness plan. It's so important to start thinking about preparing now, particularly if your funds might be a little limited. You can purchase items week over week, but there's no substitute for a good plan when an emergency threatens. I know you say that just over and over again.
That is a very good thing to point out. You need to have a plan. Because we do live in Florida. It is the Sunshine State, and everybody knows about liquid sunshine here in Florida too.
Absolutely.
But you know, we do have a hurricane season. Sometimes it's an inactive season, sometimes it's not. Sometimes during an inactive season, number-wise, we do have an impact. Sometimes in a very active season, I guess, you know, we get a lot of turned up surf and this sort of thing, and we don't have that major impact. But yeah, we are a peninsula sticking out into the Atlantic Ocean, and of course we got the Gulf side too that we have to keep our eye on.
We know that, you know, candidly, we know that local governments in Volusia County across the state of Florida over the last several years, the resources have been constrained, budgets have been very tight and so forth. You know, there is a response capability, and I know Volusia County will throw everything they've got at a response, but candidly, we're advising people to be able to sustain themselves for a certain number of days should a hurricane hit. I mean, it's not reasonable to expect that those responders, unless it's really a life-threatening situation, will be there instantly. What's your advice along those lines?
Well, I think what you're talking about is the old 3-day rule, where we used to say, hey everybody, we want you to be ready for 3 days. And I think what we've learned over time is that really, when you get into some of these catastrophic events, you might want to look at that 5 to 7 day as a rule.
Absolutely.
Because, and it's not that hard to change from 3 to 5, it's 2 more days. And the way you should approach it, and not to be too laid back on this, but the way to approach it is almost like you're on a camp out as far as your supplies. And in fact, if you get through a hurricane season and you had all your supplies, maybe you should treat yourself, you and your family or neighbors or something, to that camp out with your supplies, and then you cycle through. But yeah, you really want to try to get into that 5 to 7 day period and be ready, because you know, when power goes out, these supplies that we're talking about that we want in your kit are going to be in short supply.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be hard to find. It may be difficult for you to withdraw cash in order to purchase items.
Or buy gas.
Or buy fuel, exactly. And you know, if you have generators, this is another thing that we're going to look at, because you know, after the activity that we had not too long ago, a lot of people purchased generators.
Right.
And that includes a lot of the retailers.
Right.
And that's really a great step, but we also have to fuel those generators. So you may find that with all the generators we have, if we're in a prolonged event, that you really start looking at, you know, wondering why you didn't purchase more fuel or why you didn't fuel up. That's one of the things some people sometimes forget before the storm, is to go ahead and fuel up your vehicle. And also, if you have a generator, we're getting into hurricane season here, do it before the storm,
Right.
because there is a drawdown from those people that didn't prepare in advance for the season.
Exactly.
And if you have a generator outside your house or something of that nature, it's not fueled, you may have some difficulty finding that commodity.
So, I mean, with that having been said, you know, thinking about the camping trip or maybe the pre-storm vacation, you always advise people to seek a location away from the storm that is not necessarily a shelter. Go to a hotel or go to relatives, or think about it in another way and go early.
Yes, what you're talking about is trying to get people out of the surge zone, really.
Right.
In addition to that, you know, if we have a crossing storm, it's a lot different than a landfalling storm. And the difference is really what we're talking about there is surge versus wind.
Right.
So in a surge event, we're going to look at the area that we're expecting to inundate with surge,
right.
or as best we can guess. We're going to talk about the clearance time. How long is it going to take us to get out of there?
Right.
We're going to talk about when would we need to close schools. And you take all of these factors together and you come up with a decision arc to tell people to get out.
Right.
And you have to make that decision at some point. And so when you do make that decision and tell them that, you know, hey, it's time for you to evacuate, they really need to take that to heart and
right.
understand that the evacuation order requires a lot of discussion. It's not something that's you know, taken lightly.
Right.
That you are you know, we're really cognizant of the impacts that we have when we do shut down schools, but we also have to keep this all in mind with the fact that the job in emergency management that we have to do, the sometimes difficult job, is public safety.
Oh, absolutely.
And we base our whole actions, all of our actions, on this whole concept of public safety. And when we talk about sheltering, we don't want to have shadow evacuations, which are people that leave outside of that surge zone that we didn't ask to leave.
Right.
The people that are maybe not leaving because they feel like, let's say they're in a high rise and, you know, I can just sit in this high rise, the surge won't be too high. And so you have those factors, but like you said, you also have the whole idea of how many shelters do you have, how many people can you fit in these shelters, and if everybody went to our shelters that were in the evacuation zone, we would be looking at that capacity and measuring it off to try to accommodate that influx. But people need to, you know, going back, this is kind of a big circle here, but going back to, you need to have a plan.
Right.
And what we're going to ask you to do in a hurricane is, we need you to look at the area you're in. Are you in a surge zone? Are you in an area that we're recommending you evacuate, or a mandatory evacuation zone? And then start thinking, hey, since I'm in a surge zone or an evacuation zone, I really need to have in my plan where I'm going to go. Do I have a neighbor
right.
down the street that's in a structure that is outside of the surge zone?
Right.
Do I have a neighbor all the way inland on the west side?
Right.
Do I have relatives in Orlando, or in, let's say, you know, farther west into DeLand from Daytona?
Right.
And find a location that you're going to get out of the surge. The general rule is, you know, run from the water, hide from the wind. The hide from the wind part is, you got to get into a structure that's going to withstand the wind field we're talking
right.
about.
Right.
And so you have all of those things to take into mind, because despite the fact that we have 37 shelters and we have a capacity right around 8,000 for those locations, we really want people to lean forward into this and get their plan together. The other aspect of it is, we haven't had to really get beyond that number in the past, because the shelters we have are schools.
Right.
I mean, 99%,
right,
approximately, probably 98. But so what we're doing with these schools is now they're strong and they're fortified and this sort of thing, but they are not some place you would go for lodging.
Yeah, they're not comfort zones.
They're not comfort
safe
zones. Exactly.
And you know, Ryan, speaking of evacuations, it wasn't all that many years ago where we had that tremendous threat from Hurricane Floyd. And you know, of all the times I've been around emergency management, at one point Floyd was predicted to hit, the center of landfall was predicted to hit New Smyrna Beach, Florida. And the massive size of that storm and the power of that storm, it actually, boy, it sure did make a lot of people, including me, swallow really hard. Mm-hmm. And that resulted, if I'm not mistaken, in an evacuation that was almost the entire state of Florida. It might have been in the entire state of Florida. And I believe I've heard people say that it was the largest peacetime evacuation in U.S. history. The message here is if there is an evacuation directive, you need to leave early.
That's true. Leave early, and also, if at all possible, and this requires the public to lean forward on this, you need to go tens of miles, not hundreds of miles, but keeping in mind that we have a limited shelter capacity, right, because that's just the nature of where we're at in the world today. So you do have some personal responsibility to think about this, right, and to have a plan.
Well, Ryan, we're out of time today. We've got lots more to talk about. How about you coming back next week and we'll pick up our conversation on hurricane preparedness?
I'd love to be here.
Okay. Our guest today, Ryan Williams, he's the operations manager for Volusia County Emergency Management, and we're going to have him back next week for part 2 of our conversation. And with that, Amber, we'll go back to you.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you too for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. Incidentally, you can find the County Council meeting calendar there too. You can use volusia.org to find out about meeting dates, workshops, topics of interest, activities, and how you can become involved. In fact, there's an activity coming right up that kids can dig into reading at the DeLand Regional Library this summer. The DeLand Regional Library will offer free reading and entertainment programs for children of all ages from June 10th through July 26th. For more information, you can call 386-822-6430, extension 20759. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today, Volusia County Government's weekly public radio program. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson. Have a wonderful evening.